Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday. I don't know where you are, but here in the Chicagoland, it still doesn't really feel like fall. I shouldn't say still. We reverted back to warm weather again, so we've all been really enjoying it. But I know the cold is upon us. Anyway, today I'm so excited. I have Crystal Valkaitis with Crystal Media here with us today. She has worked in the industry. She's our social media guru. She has worked and talked for most of the markets across the country in Atlanta, in Dallas, in Vegas. She, you all know how much we love Whizbang, and we talk about them all the time. She also works really closely with Whizbang and is part of their summit every year. And so, yeah, she agreed to come on here today and talk with us and share some tips and tricks and helpful advice for all of our retailers. And so, without further ado, I'm going to bring her on.
Yay.
Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for this conversation. I know I joke all the time with our viewers that I talk their ear off about social media and the importance of social media. But you can back me up a little bit on it and tell everybody, why it's so important. And first, can you start off giving us maybe a little bit of your background? I know I said that you work at, or you've talked at the marketplaces and with Whizbang, but you've really worked closely in the retail industry for quite some time.
I have. So I have been in the social media industry since almost the beginnings in 2007. So 13 years of being in this wild, crazy space. When I first got started, my family's like, what are you doing? That's a fad. That's going to go away. You're not going to have a job soon. And now it's critical to pretty much every business's success and just the connection between all of us. So in 2012, I started in the retail industry. I started working with a company called Snap Retail. In 2010, I was with Snap Retail. And then 2012 is when I started Crystal Media and just stayed with the retailers because they needed my help. This industry changes so often. Yes. And sometimes it can feel like you're learning another language. And just trying to keep up. Our retailers are very busy. They have giant to-do lists. And so that is what I've been doing over these past 8 years with Crystal Media. We've got training for them. And we also have a done-for-you agency where we manage ads and local listings as well.
Yeah, so I'm just going to cut straight to the point. If you are one of those people that you are like, social media, I can't even think about it anymore. I don't even want to deal with it. Or you don't even know where to start, I'll just first right now say go to your website. Go ahead and state your website. Crystal Media.
Oh, yeah. crystalmediaco.com.
Yeah, so go to crystalmediaco.com right now, and she has tons of helpful, courses and everything, but you can also, have you all help them do aspects of their social media.
Yeah, well, so in a couple different ways. So one is training, and I'll just say this is so helpful for a lot of retailers. So when I first started Crystal Media, we actually managed retail social media accounts, and we were very successful in doing that. But the challenge was we were not in store. So I couldn't take pictures. I couldn't live stream. I couldn't get video. I didn't know if it was still available. And I wasn't the expert in the merchandise, right? So what we ended up doing is creating a training course on everything that we did for the retailer and empowered them, as well as created a hiring guide so they could find somebody that's local to come into the store, to take the pictures, create the content, answer people on Messenger and DMs and comments. So, because really the store owner shouldn't be doing all the social media. There's just not time for that. Right. But they have to be involved. They have to understand what their social media person is doing. And that's where I saw a lot of the breakdown is so many retailers. I'd be at market and I'd work with different vendors and I'd sit and I would do consulting with retailers, and they I would say over 75% of retailers that sat down with me were like, well, somebody's helping me. Can you just look? I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if it's working. And so many people, and I'm like, well,
you were like,
no. I know, it's like you're spending money and time and you don't even know what is success, right? So we have a whole training course on teaching what that looks like, a tracking method, because I really think it's critical that we should track our social, our marketing efforts. And so we've got them covered. And then for the people who are like from an advertising perspective, which I know we're going to talk about today because it's such a great tool, it is more technical. And so we have an ads agency where we can run the Facebook and Instagram advertising and really leverage the retailer's content that they're creating in store and just increase their visibility. So we teach them how to do that, or we can do it for them if they just don't want to learn it.
Yeah. So yes, you can go to their website and tons of information for you, and we'll talk about even more great things that you have coming up in later on in our show. But so I want to jump right into this. We've talked briefly about there's so many various important pieces to the puzzle when it comes to marketing and media and all of these things. And I know we're going to touch on social media, but I thought that first I would take a brief moment to kind of touch on the importance of some other elements, a lot of which people have done, considered the backbone for a long time, is like email marketing. That's still very important. Am I correct on that? I hope I'm correct on that.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It is very important. Yes, and let's just talk about why for a quick second with email. Because I do feel like people are kind of writing it off, like thinking it's an old school strategy, but it's not. And when the lockdown and shutdowns happened in March, a lot of retailers felt kind of fearful to email their list because either they hadn't in a while because they were thinking, it's kind of old school, or they didn't really know how to communicate with them during that time. But it is so incredibly important to continuously build the list, keep getting those email addresses. It's access into people's inboxes, and if they love you and your products, they're going to want to stay up to date. Like, you are doing them a disservice by not getting them on that list, and then you are doing a disservice if you are not emailing them frequently. Most retailers are not emailing enough, so definitely still worth it. Please build your list.
All right, so I have to ask you, since you just said most retailers are not emailing enough, do you have a recommendation of how often they should be emailing?
So it varies a little bit because ideally the retailer has segmented lists. So, for example, they'll have their full list, let's say 10,000 people, just for the sake of being easy. Of those 10,000 people, maybe 70 are female and 30 are male. Well, those, you could have separate communications going out to each of those audiences. Ideally, you've got birthdays on these people, so then there's once a month send to the birthday list. Ideally, you have your loyalty group, so they're getting different communications than your full list is getting. So an individual, you might be sending several times a week, but not to the same people. And I would just say bare minimum once a week. If you don't have the segmented list, I know a lot of retailers don't, so if you just got this full list, I recommend a minimum of once a week, and I want you to just keep in mind that big box retailers email every single day.
Yes.
Like,
we all know they do.
I get that.
Me too.
We all see, right? We all see it.
Yes.
And they do it because it works.
Yeah.
So just keep that.
And something that is kind of newer, I mean, I feel that it's picked up significantly in the last few months, is text messaging.
Yep.
Text messaging.
Totally.
A lot of retailers are using text messaging to, send out text blasts.
Yep. Well, okay, so a text message is read within 90% of text messages are read within the first 3 minutes of it being sent. So that is where, we know with email open rates from a retail perspective, an average open rate right now is about 15 to 18%. If you can get 90% with a text, right? We are very excited about that. Now, your texting strategy is definitely going to be different than email. You are not going to be sending a daily text.
No.
you won't even be sending a weekly text most likely. I really recommend a 1 to 2 a month text. If you've got kind of like an event going on, something that we really are promoting, then maybe it's a little bit more frequent. But we do want to kind of be careful with the send frequency with text marketing. But one area where you could still connect on the mobile device, because that's the biggest thing, right? We're glued to mobile. Is Messenger Bot, which allows you with your Facebook Messenger, we're all connecting that way too now, and we're starting, some people are not texting, but messaging through Facebook Messenger, right? And as, all these retailers that have business pages, you guys know you have your Messenger attached to your Facebook page. You can leverage that and include some automation that deploys communications and messages to the people who have subscribed to you. Very similar to email marketing. People have subscribed to your email. People subscribe to text. People can subscribe to your Facebook Messenger, and you can send out communications that way too, like special offers, promotions, birthday sends, things like that. And with Messenger, one thing we're seeing, just open rates there, 80 to 90% open rates.
And does that work as well on Instagram?
So not the way that it does with Facebook Messenger. So with Instagram, you have your DMs where people can just direct message you privately. That is not set up in a sense that can be an automated conversation yet. And so let me do like a very simple example of what I mean by that. If somebody sees an ad on Facebook and it's like, get 10% off your next purchase, click here, right? They click here and boom, Messenger opens up automatically. Here's Messenger. You click the get started button and an automated message comes up and says, thank you, here's your 10% off coupon. You can click here to go shopping. And then you can even have some buttons that ask them some questions that carries on this dialogue, right?
Yeah.
That's all automated through a third-party tool. Instagram doesn't have that capability yet, but I would imagine that it's not far behind since Facebook owns Instagram. There's some, things that you could do to kind of save your automated responses and things like that to help save time with your DMing on Instagram and definitely leverage DMs on Instagram. But the automated conversation is done through third-party bot, and I know people are going to want to know what's the third party. So there's a few that I recommend. There's a few out there, but my favorite is ManyChat.com. So that's M as in Mary, A, N as in Nancy, Y, chat.com.
Yeah, I've heard of that one a lot. And just to go back, I know you also had a suggestion of a text messaging tool to use, which you said was Easy Text, right?
Easy Texting. Yep, easytexting.com. We've got some insiders using that, and they like that platform. There are a lot of texting platforms, so if you're using one and you like it, you can stay. Sometimes your email marketing offers texting too. So, for example, the platform we use to do all of our email marketing is called Entreport, and they have a text marketing built in. So that's something that if you can keep it in one platform, it just kind of helps save some time and you don't have to learn all sorts of different platforms. So check with your email service provider to see if you can do that, if you're going to start collecting those email or those cell phone numbers.
Awesome. All right. Oh, and the other, quick thing we said we were just going to mention, but we won't spend a lot of time on it, is another really great tool to use is search engine marketing, SEO, right?
SEO. Yep. Search engine optimization. And I kind of laughed because I was sharing before that I'm in the middle of doing this massive SEO project for Crystal Media. And thankfully I like that stuff, but it can be technical and there are a lot of components. But I think what's important for retailers to know is, so many more retailers are selling online. And I think you have to. If you would have asked me a year ago, and retailers did all the time, I would speak, they would ask me questions, I'm thinking about launching an e-commerce site, should I? Or what platform should I use? And I would always say, are you doing enough to market your physical brick and mortar today? And they would always, 100% of the time, say no. I'm not doing enough. Because the reason I would ask that is the time you would spend building an e-commerce site, if you take that time and market your physical store location, let's start there, because this is almost like a second job. You have to build the site, or you're hiring somebody to build it, and that, of course, you need a budget for. And then you maintain the site, and just because you have e-com now does not mean you're getting a flood of traffic and orders, right? Like, then you've got to market it.
Yeah.
You've got to spend time marketing. So before you do all that, let's get this going. And then, of course, with the pandemic, lockdowns, people aren't coming in. Then from just a health situation, yes, people can shop now, but more people are shopping online. I read a recent stat by American Express that said 60% of consumers are going to do at least half of their holiday shopping online this year.
Wow.
So, in my opinion, selling online is oxygen for a retailer. So, going back to the SEO, there are so many different ways that you can market a website. Social media is going to be part of that. And social media does help from an SEO perspective when you're linking to your site on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and etc. So those are going to help drive the traffic. And we were saying how, SEO can be a full-time job. Like, most retailers are not going to be experts here. Most retailers are not going to do the SEO.
Right.
I think what's important is for you to know why you need it, know the important components, because there are a lot. And then it might be something that you are looking to hire out or to get help with, so you can show up for these organic search results, because that's the biggest thing. It's search engine optimization. It's going to help you place on Google when people are trying to search for your products. And it is highly competitive, and it does take time, but it is one of those components of driving traffic to your e-com site.
Yeah, so something to look into, and that's a great thing to say too. I think one of the big things I like to remind people is it's okay to outsource and ask for help. You don't have to personally do it all. We can't do it all. So
exactly.
Thank you for putting that reminder out there as well. All right, so now we get to officially jump into the social media conversation. And I know there's so many elements to social media. I guess I'll start with, what is your, now there's so many social media platforms, and I feel like more and more of them are coming out. I don't know if it was a joke, but I literally just yesterday was seeing some of my friends saying that they were so proud of themselves for joining a new, what it sounded like, a social media platform that I've never heard of. And I just thought to myself, oh no, there can't be another one. And I haven't even heard the name of this one. Just no. But what do you feel right now are the most important social media platforms to focus on?
Yeah, so especially for our busy retailers, I think it's critical for them to be where majority of the consumer's attention is being spent. So when we have all these new ones that are popping up, it might, depending on what I'm seeing, especially with new social platforms, is they seem to be pretty niche and like focusing on a certain interest. If that fits your customer, then if your customers are going to be there, then get in there, explore, see if that might make sense for you. So many of these, it's hard to kind of take off, so the time invested might not pay off. But again, if your customers are there, that's where we want to be. Right now, Facebook is the largest social media platform. Instagram is right behind it. TikTok is growing incredibly fast. And then we, of course, have Pinterest, which has been here. It's also a staple in our social media lineup, right? So when it comes to, I will say like Twitter, I rarely talk about when it comes to our retailers. It used to be such a strong platform. It's how I got my start in social media. Actually, I was very big on Twitter. But it was different 10 years ago. Now it's really like celebrity, media, political press, right?
Yeah, it's turned more into a news space.
Yeah. For retailers selling products and wanting to connect with the community, it's not impossible, but just typically not the fastest way to do so. They're so visual as well. So Instagram and Facebook are typically the top two that I'm talking a lot about. One of the reasons is because Facebook's ads platform is so targeted on how you can reach your customers, and especially our retailers. Yes, they're selling online, more of them are now, but they're still trying to connect to the local audience. And I just want to remind our physical, like our local stores who are now selling online, don't get too overwhelmed with now you have this global audience. You can still stay really focused and be your community's resource. You're just offering convenience by being able to buy online now. The click to collect commerce is a big thing right now. Consumers like that. So they buy online, but they pick up at your store. So from that perspective with Facebook, and when I say Facebook ads, that also means Instagram ads. It's so incredibly targeted on who you can reach that if you really know your audience, you're going to be able to access them through the ads platform, and it's just going to help you grow and get that visibility. So that platform for sure. Facebook also just has great features built within like Facebook groups to create your own kind of community and conversation, and you tend to have more organic reach there. Event pages are helpful when we're doing in-person events. We can modify those a little bit for, online events now. And then Instagram is just, man, they're taking off with IGTV and Reels, which we're seeing some cool success with our retailers using Reels. And even for us, Reels are getting just more visibility than like our IGTVs. So, and Reels are just a way of Instagram competing with TikTok, which, there's been the big, like, are they going to get banned from the U.S. and they're being purchased, and there's all sorts of stuff going on there, which we don't need to get into. But I will say a lot of retailers ask me if they should be on TikTok, and it goes back to the question of, is your audience there? I am seeing retailers do some really cool stuff on TikTok, but just know it is video based, and it really needs to be like entertaining or education type content to really get people to watch and tune in. But I have never seen anything like this with TikTok, of how people are just the millions of views that just an average everyday person or small business is getting is pretty insane. And just one quick story on that. I was speaking to a hobby group of retail stores, toy and hobby. And one guy did a TikTok of racing a car, like, a car that you build, mechanical car thing. I'm not saying the right terminology. Obviously, that's not my expertise. But he's like racing remote control. You got it. He's racing around on his track. He just did a video of that, put it on TikTok. Sports Illustrator picked it up, put it on their TikTok, has over 1 million views, and of his one video. Like, the virality of what we're seeing, this content just taking off and getting exposure is really wild.
Well, and
and exciting.
TikTok is usually short videos.
Yes.
And I've heard of people that get wrapped up like in the evening, sucked into just watching video after video after video after, and so yeah, if you can get your content, in that stream, it's a great thing to do. And quickly to go back on, you were talking how great and targeted Facebook ads are, which, as you said, is also Instagram, because Facebook owns Instagram. I have heard that major companies that have spent buku bucks on commercial, TV commercial advertisement are pulling back, like almost pulling completely off of commercial TV commercial advertisements and putting that money into Facebook ads because it is so targeted that the bang for your buck with Facebook ads is better than any other marketing advertisement platform out there.
Yep. So let's break that down a little bit. So, because a few things happen there. One, the same thing is happening for my independent retailers too that we work with. So they'll often start with us, but they also are doing some radio or the newspaper or whatever, right? They have their ad spend and they decide to have part of that budget be on Facebook advertising, and they see the results that they get for the cost and they cut everything else and they go all in on social ads. I'm not necessarily saying that that's what everybody should do. If something else is working, keep doing it. I am such an advocate for testing, and this is why it's so important to be tracking to see what the return on investment is, right? So we're seeing that on an independent level. Now, when big boxes do that, there is the question of, okay, well, now all of a sudden big boxes are spending on these platforms, making it more expensive to advertise on Facebook and Instagram, because then you have more competition. It's all you're bidding, right? You're bidding for the attention and the eyeballs. So, but the thing is, this is where it gets really exciting for our retailers who are known in their community, and it goes back to, if you are a local retailer, don't think about this national audience now. Because then you're all of a sudden competing with these big boxes who have buco bucks, like you said. And we need to stay focused. Where is your perfect customer spending their time? And if you already know, if they already know you, that's a hot lead, right? That's a hot audience group. You will spend less money on those hot audiences than your cold audiences that don't know you at all, and your budget's just not going to allow you to compete on that level. So really stay focused locally and add in some of your interests. We talked about email marketing at the top of this, and you can take that list and upload it to Facebook and advertise to those people. And you can create lookalikes of those people. You're going to spend less money advertising the people who know you or look like the people who know you than those cold audiences, right? So it's just a must use. And I want to say, one of the biggest tips that I can give your audience from an ad perspective is don't boost. Because everybody hits the boost button. And yes, that is a form of advertising, because everybody always asks, okay, is that advertising? It is. But there are so many other types of ads that you can run in the ads manager. And when you're using the right type of ad to the right audience with the right creative is where you're going to see that success. When we boost, we're just promoting that one post. For example, if you do live videos, which I know that you guys have talked so much about on your show, you can do video view ads, which you should be. That's a great way to get more views. Instead of boosting that, you are paying for the page engagement there versus the video views. So it optimizes your budget. Spend less, get more. And that's what I'm all about for our retailers, because they're not big box, right? So just run your ads in Ads Manager. And like I said earlier, it is a little bit more technical. We can teach you. You can get in there and learn it, or we can do it for you. But it is worth it to leverage those ads.
And that's a great, thank you for that tip, because I will say the boost button is right there. It's like the easy route to go because Facebook markets it all the time and they just put it out there. So I think a lot of people, when they think of this, they're like, oh, but here it is, I'll do that. So yeah, don't boost. Go in and actually, look into it further. Thank you for that tip. So if you are, now we talked about the importance of ads, but content, you have to have that content in order to make the ads work. So I know you guys have an awesome social media planner, and that helps give a guideline to planning out the content for a full 12-month. It's a 12-month planner, right? And
Yep.
But like, for example, one of the things I noticed on there is you have it's a 2-part section per day. One of the parts is stories, and so what content do you feel is most important? Is it videos? Is it pictures? Now we have a whole nother level with these stories that are constantly streaming. What is your suggestion with content?
Yeah, so it depends on the platform that you're on, because, for example, I recommend that 80% of your posts on Facebook be video. So those could be pre-recorded or live stream, but it needs to be video. That's what's winning on Facebook. On Instagram, definitely a blend of photo and video. You will see, especially in the feed, it's a little bit higher quality. We are creating kind of that lifestyle, fulfilling a desire, so it's kind of prettier magazine quality. That tends to work better on Pinterest as well. With your stories, this can be more of the behind the scenes, raw, real you. It should be human. Your feed content should have humans as well. I know some people don't feel comfortable being on camera or in pictures, but it's what gets people to know you. We buy from people we know, like, and trust. I read another recent survey that was saying the number one reason that makes people choose a retailer is that it's a known retailer. Well, we know the big boxes. The way that the locals and independents are known is by showing up, right? And being on video and being in these pictures and telling their story, why they got started. Talk about your team, talk about your community and your town. And be a part of it, right? Create that conversation. And so some of the feed content can do that. Stories absolutely do that too. And I recommend posting a story every day, because that content disappears after 24 hours. So we don't want to miss out on being in that part of the app, right? You kind of have these different users. Some people will go straight to the stories and binge on those. Some people will just scroll through the feed. Some people take it all in, right? I always joke because my boyfriend just goes through the feed, and I am such like a stories person. And if I post, it's probably going to be like, personally, it's going to be a story. And I'll be like, did you see the story I posted of the dogs, or whatever? And he never sees any of my stuff because he doesn't watch stories. So
yeah, my husband
as a
biz stories doesn't get
That's funny. It's so funny. So as a marketer, we want to make sure we show up to both kinds of users, right? And so posting in both of those places is critical. So yeah, having the planner, which I love, I feel like it's my baby. It's a physical planner. It plans 12 months of content, and it has training built in. Like, I've got a system of how to create your weekly themes of what you're talking about every single week. And then what you were saying with the post and story, it's just kind of your week peak, right? Like, what's going on, and making sure that we're getting content done on everywhere that we need to, where our customers are. So you have to have, I truly believe, because I know we talked about time management in our busy retailers before we went live, you have to have a system. You have to be organized for this to be done well and to save you time eventually. Because when we have no plan and we're just kind of posting, it's not going to be done well. It's not going to have a strategy. You're not going to know how to track the effectiveness of it. And you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities. And because you're not really seeing results from it because there's really no plan, we're wasting time.
Yep.
So just have a system, whether it's through My Planner or you're using something else. Please be organized and have your system for planning content.
Okay, so it is important to do a post and a story every single day. And you can post on, this is a good question I just thought of, sorry. It gives you the ability to, if you're creating a Facebook post, you can launch it to Instagram as well. Do you recommend doing that or not, and creating two separate pieces of content?
I would do a blend. So I would still have some unique content on each of the platforms. It gives a reason for people to follow you on both platforms, and we want people to follow us everywhere, right? Because of the algorithms, they might not see what you posted on Facebook, but they may catch something over on Instagram. And so we want to make sure that we're posting unique stuff, so they are seeing us in each of these places. Plus, these platforms do cater to a different type of content. The other thing that I meant to mention when we were talking about kind of what platforms these retailers should be on, you also have different demographics that are heavier on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, right? So you will see a younger generation on TikTok. However, the millennials and 30 and up, 40 and up, they've got their own hashtag they're using, their own group. They're like proud to be on TikTok. It's growing. They're showing up there, but it tends to be... What's that?
I said we're trying, guys. We're trying to keep up with the younger generation.
I know, trying to be hip. I mean, I swear TikTok definitely makes me feel old. And I know I'm not that old, I don't think. But, you know, it does. It makes me feel old. But anyways, we want to be that's where it's so important, just knowing your perfect customers, right? And what are those demographics? And then using the content. So Facebook is a little bit of an older demographic, right? 40 and up. Your post that you're using for maybe product pictures, or the person who's going live, or the person in the pictures might match that demographic. It might be the 40 and up person that you're using in your creative. Your Instagram might be that 18 to 35. So we're using somebody in that creative to really target to that, speak to that audience. And then your TikTok might be trending down from an age perspective, right? And if you can't do that, or if that doesn't make sense, then we're just using the right hashtags to get to the right people on these platforms. But like if you've got an announcement, a promotion, an event, a milestone, somebody's birthday, things like that. Oh, we have the same ring. Those things can totally be shared across platform, right? Like it's more about the business, your story, that stuff can totally be on all the platforms, saving you a little bit of time. But otherwise, I do want people to treat these as different people that you're talking to, because they are different, and I want your content to work well for you, versus just trying to create something really fast and then just auto publish everywhere.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Oh man, okay, so we talked about the fact that these retailers are, especially this year, doing the job of like 45 people. And, many of them have been through shutdown and thankfully have been able to, staff back up since then and everything. But a lot of them are still, they've taken on more than ever. So many of them didn't have an e-commerce site at all before the pandemic, and they were awesome and they jumped on it and got it. Some of them never had social media, or they didn't really use social media, and this year they've gotten on board. But now they're stepping back and they're going, oh man, I have an e-commerce site, I have the social media, I still have to do e-blasts, I still have to run my store, with potentially less help than ever. They're strapped. They're exhausted.
Yeah.
What is the bare minimum that you would recommend to, still be able to do some of this, but for that retailer that just can't hire somebody right now and has to do as much as they can?
Yep. So I'm so glad you asked this question, because as I was talking about the content for the different audiences, for the different platforms, I know there are people listening being like, I can't. There's no way. There's no way I can do this. And then it's like shut down, nope, and they're out. And I don't want anybody to be out, because this is a place you've got to be. So if you are like, it is you and you are trying to do everything, what we're seeing the biggest impact right now is live streaming and then advertising the live streaming. So what's great about advertising is it allows for more visibility, right? You are paying, but it's your shortcut. We're paying for more eyeballs, more visibility, and it can help that content live on longer versus creating all this new content all the time, right? So go live. Ideally, you're promoting that and running ads for it before, so people know, right? So we get as many people there as possible. And then we do this awesome live, and I teach all the components that you should have in there. There are definitely pieces of this to be successful, but we are selling on this. We are talking about products. We are demonstrating. You should pin a comment to the top of it right at the start on how people can buy. Are they calling you? Are they going over to your website to buy? Are they coming in? Are they just writing sold and it's using something like comment sold to automate it? How can people buy? So have that in there. Do your live. And then when you're done, if you still have merchandise left over, hopefully you sold out of everything. But if you still have stuff left, advertise that video using a video view ad, like I talked about. So we're paying for the views, which keeps our costs lower, and extend that reach to more of your perfect customer groups who are local that can rewatch that and order. That, if I was a retailer today and it was just me and I'm sitting in my store and my doors are closed or nobody's coming in, that is what I would be doing, is lives and advertising.
Awesome. That's a pretty concise, manageable chunk.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So thank you so much for that. You have given us so many helpful tips and tricks and places to focus without, I know even just the conversation can feel overwhelming, but I feel like you've given us some places to focus to make it less overwhelming. So I really appreciate that. And I want to tell everybody about what you have coming up in February. So go ahead.
Yes.
Tell us what you have
going
on in February.
Yes, we're so excited. Okay, so February 1st and 2nd, we are doing our very first ever social media summit. And this is a 2-day deep dive, spending most of these 2 days with me, but I'm going to have some of my team members talk about some of their areas of expertise, one being Facebook ads, another being brand and graphic design. But we are going deep on Facebook and Instagram shops, which is something that is a must-have for retailers, in my opinion. And I would really suggest enabling Instagram checkout, which is a whole nother side of this. There's a lot of features to doing that. So we're doing deep dives on shops. We're talking about your e-commerce platform because so many more people are selling online, and what's needed there and how to market it. We're talking about email marketing because this is so important to drive traffic to your e-com store or your Facebook or Instagram shop. We're talking about funnels, how to get people on your list or subscribe to your messenger bot, and then what's that next communication with them. We'll be talking about video. It's fresh content, deep dives, and this is only available to our insider members. We have a very special community of retailers. I have an insider that has been with me for 8 years, since I started 8 years ago. She's my OG member, Tammy. And we just have a really special community, so I'm really excited for this summit too, because not only is it going to be great content, but we're all going to be on Zoom. We can see each other. We can interact. We can ask questions. And we're going to be just sharing some exciting stuff that's coming up for 2021 with Insider. So it's going to be a really great time to join. As you could tell, I'm very excited about it.
And you should be. Well, and I love that, when we were talking about this before, I was like, you're doing a social media summit specifically for retailers. I mean, we hear about, there's places to learn about social media and how to, become a social media expert all over the place. But they're not geared towards retailers, and it's a completely different animal. So I love that you were doing this summit and geared towards, because obviously you are geared towards retailers. And if you are looking for a shorter, step down option, you can go to the Crystal Media website today, right now, and take the social media course, right? Because that's available.
Yeah, so there's basically two paths here. There's three. One is you can get on our email list, and we send a weekly tip every week for free. So that is a must-do, in my opinion, is join the list, and we will message you every Monday a tip. The next path is I was talking about, we have this social selling course, which I created in March. So shutdowns were happening. And this course is all about how to sell through social media, whether you have an e-commerce site or not, and whether your store is open or not. And what was neat that happened in March is because so many retailers were closed, they had the time to sit down. It's a 3-hour course. They sat down, they went through the whole course that day and started planning and implementing everything they learned. And right away were sharing with us that they're doing $800 in an hour right from the live. They're overcoming their fear. I had one retailer who did $17,000 in a 90-minute Instagram live, did not pay for it, like killing it. So I can't guarantee those kinds of results, but we are definitely seeing some amazing results from that course. So 3 hours, you can go through that and get up and running with your social selling. The third path is becoming an insider member. You get access to that course I just talked about. It's included in membership. We have a promo that's happening now. You'll see it when you go on our site and click on Insider. You also get our planner when you join as an insider right now, and it gets you a ticket to our summit that's happening on the 1st and 2nd of February. Plus, you get support from my team, from other insider members. We do monthly live trainings. We do live Q&As. We have other training in the portal for insiders too. So that really is like if you want all in and just, access to everything, becoming an insider is the best place.
Yeah. But I do like the fact that your social media course is only 3 hours because, as I know, we had mentioned that there are so many courses out there, and they can be very time-consuming and overwhelming. So a 3-hour course is very manageable, and you can break it up over a couple days or sit down and hash through it in an evening or a day or so. So yes. Thank you so much. I feel like we have, dove into so many elements, and now I get to go ahead and ask you my 3 final questions that are not as related to our topic. And my first one is always, what is your favorite book, podcast, or blog?
Okay, this is hard because I am so a podcast listener. I love podcasts, but I also love audiobooks and I love reading. And so I have to go with How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. It's a book. It's a long audiobook. It's a big book. I just feel like it's so needed. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner, because there can be a lot of worry as a business owner. There's a lot of stress and pressure. In just general life, being in a pandemic, there's a lot of worry. I just think it's a really great book that I feel like everybody needs to read. And I have to add, too, there's a book, Who Not How, by my coach, Dan Sullivan. And you mentioned it earlier. And when I said hire help for SEO, we can help with ads. When you think about who can do this, not how, and Bob Nagin says this a lot with WizBank training, it changes. And in this book, he talks about you cannot have money freedom until you have time freedom. And you cannot do everything on your own. You'll be a bottleneck. You'll get burned out. And so that, being an entrepreneur, that's been a really great book for me. And I think our retailers would really find a lot of help in that book too.
Awesome. Those sound like 2 great books. What's the most important tool in your toolbox?
My most important tool is, I don't know if this would be considered a tool, but my morning routines it's sets me up for the day. Every morning I get up around the same time. I journal, and what I journal is at least 5 things I'm grateful for. I put in my dreams. I do dreams equal reality, and I just write down what I want to achieve as if it's happened. And then I have, what am I going to focus on today? What's like the one thing that can kind of start chipping away and get me closer to my dreams? And then when I'm done with that, I'll do a little meditation, and then I'll either go for a walk or ride the Peloton just to kind of move my body. And it gets me in a really great state for the rest of the day.
Awesome. That sounds like, a very rich start to the day.
Yes.
That's great. Okay, so yes, we know that, all of this has blown up because of the pandemic. You have been working on social media and everything for a long time, and now it is more important than ever, really, because of the pandemic. But there's, goods and bads and everything around this situation. But what do you feel is something positive that's come out of the pandemic?
Well, you just said it, of people using social media more. It was wild what happened, because I have been teaching this for so long, and I feel like I have been dragging people with me, like, come on, go live, it works, trust me, ads work, trust me, and people will do it, and then they're like, yeah. It's like they'll do it, and they're like, guess what, it works. And I'm like, I know. And so I've always been like, I wish people just get started, do it, so you can see that it works, because it's going to build your business. Well, what ended up happening in March is our inboxes were flooded with retailers being like, I need this now. What do I do? Where do I start? I can't communicate with my customers. It's the only place I know that I can. And email, of course. And so we were there for them. I have never seen so many people go through our courses, implement what they're learning, going live, we got so many success stories coming in, and it's because people were using it and because it works. Like, it was exciting that people finally were seeing the results that I know that they can have. And the thing that happened is the retailers who already had the presence and already using social, they didn't skip a beat. They did not feel the lockdown. They just kept going. Some of our retailers did feel that and were able to get brought back up. And so I'm just really glad that these people got to see how critical social media is to your business, and that they found that confidence that it's like, I can use it. I can go live. I'm not afraid of it. If I am, I don't care. I'm moving through the discomfort, and I'm doing it. And then they do it, and they realize that it's easy, and it's able to, in some cases, save their business. So for me, that has been a massive positive out of this situation.
Yeah, I would agree that that's a big positive. I think, in the end of this, everybody will have an e-commerce and social media, and they'll just be able to, cross-channel across it all, So thank you so much for your time and all of the information. Everybody, go to her website right now, jump on board the courses, sign up for her weekly emails. I am ordering your planner because I actually have a mission. I'm like, I need an actual planner to do this for 2021. So I'll be ordering that, and we'll tell everybody how helpful it is. Yes, and I know I look forward to seeing you around as we move into 2021, which sounds crazy, but it is right around the corner, guys. We're doing it. We're making it through 2020, guys. We're almost to the end. So
we're almost there.
Thank you so much, Crystal. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Camille, and everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone, so much for watching. If you are just jumping on board, seeing the end of this, seriously, go back, rewatch it. There's just jam-packed information in this episode. and some shortcuts too, so that it really doesn't have to be as overwhelming as it seems. And with that, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week. Happy Tuesday.